We've officially reached the halfway point of the 2025 NFL season, and things are finally starting to make sense for once, kinda. Last week I went 8-5, bringing my total record on the season to 75, 45, and 1. In this video, I'll be predicting every Week 9 game with score predictions. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Subscribe takes just a second, and it really helps me out. Thank you, and let's get started. Chicago Bears versus Cincinnati Bengals. Well, it had to happen sometime, and unfortunately, the Cincinnati Bengals are the proud team that gets to say they gave the Jets their first win of the season. Joe Flacco had another great game, but the defense had a classic Bengals performance, giving up 39 points to Justin Fields, who was benched against the Panthers last week. Bears also had a disappointing loss, losing by 2 scores to Tyler Huntley and the Ravens. Caleb Williams was not good, and their defense had their worst game of the season since week 2. It's unclear if Flacco or Jake Browning are going to play for Cincy, but either way, I'm taking Chicago 27-24. I'm pretty sure I could score 3 touchdowns against that defense, so Caleb and the Bears offense should be able to as well. Minnesota Vikings versus Detroit Lions. The Carson Wentz experiment is over, and the Vikings are finally getting JJ McCarthy back. Wentz was awful in his final game with the Vikings, but he was also playing with about a million different injuries. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell has a personal vendetta against Wentz or something, but leaving him out there when he was doing this every play is just insane. Hopefully for the Vikings, McCarthy can actually look good for an entire game, not just one quarter against the Bears. The Lions were on bye last week, but in week 7 absolutely destroyed the Bucs, with Jahmyr Gibbs having over 200 yards. The Lions look like the clear-cut best team in the NFC, and I'm taking them to beat Minnesota 31-23. I think the Vikings can keep things somewhat close for a bit, but they don't have the talent to beat Detroit. Carolina Panthers versus Green Bay Packers. Okay, so I see why Bryce Young is so valuable to the Panthers now. I'm not saying Young would have beaten the Bills last week, but I don't think he would have lost 40-9 and committed 3 turnovers like Andy Dalton did. At least Ted McMillan continues to look really good. The Packers got a big win over the Steelers. Jordan Love looked incredible, and Tucker Kraft might just be a top 3 tight end in the NFL. They also got Christian Watson back, and he made a huge impact. I'm taking the Packers to win this one 33-27. I think the Panthers can put up some points and keep things close, but Green Bay's offense just looks unstoppable right now. Los Angeles Chargers versus Tennessee Titans. We've now reached our weekly segment of predicting the Titans to get blown out by a much superior team. They still can't do anything on offense or defense. Kilmore continues to make just enough big-time throws to keep you intrigued, but overall is not playing well and has turned the ball over in every single game he's played. Kinda reminds me of a different Titans quarterback. The Chargers absolutely dog-walked the Vikings, and Kamani Vidal and Aranda Gadsden continue to be outperforming all expectations. This one is easy. I'll take the Chargers 34-10. Not much analysis is needed. One team was looking great, and the other's the worst in football. Atlanta Falcons versus New England Patriots. I don't know what to do with Atlanta anymore. They went from beating the Buffalo Bills to now losing by 24 to a Dolphins team that just fired their GM and hasn't played a good game all season. Their defense is really the inconsistent one. I mean, allowing 14 points to Josh Allen and then turning around and allowing 34 to Tua Tagovailoa is crazy. I can't tell if the Falcons are a top 10 team or a bottom 10 team. It really is just any given Sunday with them. The Patriots are firmly a top 10 team though. They easily beat the Browns, so they're now sitting at 6-2 and hold the 2 seed in the AFC. Drake May continues to be an MVP candidate, and this defense has quietly been a top 5 unit in the league. I'm taking New England 28-20. It would be fitting if the Falcons somehow managed to pull a win out of their ass here, but I just don't see that happening. San Francisco 49ers versus New York Giants. I feel so bad for the Giants. They can't have anything, it seems. First they lose Malik Neighbors for the season, and now the CTE king himself, Cam Scadabo, is out. It really is Jackson Dart versus the world. It wasn't a surprise that they lost to Philadelphia, especially after Scadabo went down, and though the season has had its fun moments, the Giants are currently 2-6 and really need to start stacking up wins if they even want to consider making the playoffs. The 49ers also need to start stacking up wins. They lost last week against the Texans, and their division just keeps on winning. CMC was limited to under 100 scrimmage yards for the first time this season, and Mac Jones really didn't make up for that. It's still unknown whether Purdy's going to come back this week, but even if Jones is in there, I'm taking the 49ers 24-21. I think CMC has a big bounce back game, and the Giants just don't have any offensive weapons anymore. Indianapolis Colts versus Pittsburgh Steelers. The Colts keep on rolling. They've now won 4 straight and are still the 1 seed in the AFC, just like everyone predicted. Jonathan Taylor is legitimately having a LaDainian Tomlinson-like season. He's now up to 14 total touchdowns in just 8 games and has 4 separate 3-touchdown performances. If he keeps this up and still doesn't win MVP, I don't know what MVP is anymore. The Steelers lost last week against the Packers and have now dropped 2 straight games entirely due to their defense. While Myles Garrett is off getting 5 sack games, TJ Watt has been a barely above average edge rusher this season. Please never compare the two again. again. Aaron Rodgers has been playing really well, but he can only do so much when his defense gives up 30 points a game. Unfortunately for Pittsburgh, I see that happening again, as I have the Colts winning 37-27. The Colts have the best offense in the NFL, and I just can't see the Steelers defense containing them. You have the Broncos versus Houston Texans. So we can start calling the Broncos legit Super Bowl contenders now, right? They've won 5 straight and are currently leading the AFC West. Bo Nix had his second straight 4-touchdown game and is looking really good, and this defense has arrived. Pat Surtain got banged up last week, but no problem. Jada Barron just stepped in and had one of the best single-game performances by a corner this entire season. The Texans also had a great defensive performance, holding CMC to by far his worst game of the season, all while CJ Stroud had probably his best game of the season. I see this being a low-scoring, gritty game, but give me Denver 20-17. Their offenses look way better than Houston's this season, and their defense should be able to make enough plays to win this game. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Las Vegas Raiders. Both of these teams were on bye last week, meaning we didn't have to suffer through watching them play. The Jaguars and the Raiders both got blown out in week 7. The Raiders 31-0 by the Chiefs, and the Jags 35-7 by the Rams. Travis Hunter at least looked really good in that game, but now he's gonna miss the next few weeks, so there goes the Jags' offensive production. But I'm still taking Jacksonville 24-16 because the Raiders suck ass. That's really it. I don't see a way Vegas wins this one. New Orleans Saints versus Los Angeles Rams. Well, the Spencer Rattler experiment was fun while it lasted, kinda, but now it's finally time to see the second-round rookie Tyler Shuck, who definitely outplayed Rattler against the Bucks. I like Shuck coming out of college, but I don't like this matchup against the Rams, who were on bye last week and the week before held the Jaguars to just 7 points. The second game in a row, LA held the opposing offense to single digits. Plus, the Rams' own offense looked great, with Matthew Stafford throwing 5 touchdowns, and if that wasn't enough, the Rams are getting Puka Nacua back this week. This won't be close. Give me the Rams 38-13. Stafford's looked like an MVP candidate this season, and he only furthers that case with this win. Kansas City Chiefs versus Buffalo Bills. Here we go, the annual Chiefs versus Bills game. Both of these teams are coming off big wins over backup quarterbacks. Starting with the Chiefs, who beat the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders. Rashee Rice had yet another touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes is looking more and more like that 2022 MVP self. The Bills beat the Andy Dalton-led Panthers in a game where James Cook had over 200 rushing yards and has established himself as a top 5 running back this season. These games are always insane, but it always seems like the Bills find a way to win them, and with it being in Buffalo, I'm taking the Bills 28-27. Again, they just somehow managed to win every regular season matchup between these two, and I don't think that changes here. Seattle Seahawks versus Washington Commanders. After a generational run last season, this year just isn't it for the Commanders. They've now lost 3 straight, and the playoffs seem like a long shot. Jaden Daniels should be returning this week, but Terry McLaurin is now out again, so the Commanders have very limited weapons against a Seattle defense that has been really good this year. They were on bye last week, but the week before beat the Texans pretty easily. Sam Darnold did have some of those worrisome Jets moments, but JSN continues to be a monster, and like I said, the defense is really good. I'm taking the Seahawks 34-20. I think they have their way with a bad Commanders defense, and they remain leading the NFC West. Arizona Cardinals versus Dallas Cowboys. Well, the Dak Prescott MVP talks are over. After playing some really good football the past few weeks, Dak played like ass against the Broncos, and their defense did the Cowboys defense thing. The Cardinals were on bye last weekend. The week before lost a close one to the Packers in a game where Jacoby Brissett once again played pretty well. But Kyler is returning this week, which should be an upgrade. However, I'm still taking Dallas 30-20. I think the Cowboys offense bounces back against a bad Cardinals defense, and this shouldn't be too tough of a win. But that's it. Those are my week 9 NFL predictions. Or do you agree? Or do you disagree? Comment below. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop a like and subscribe if you're new, and that's it for me. See ya!